Welcome to the Escape Your Limits podcast. On this week's episode, Emma, Barry and I were invited to the inaugural FitTech Club member event at IHRSA in Miami. There were over 90 members and special guests in attendance, and they had the opportunity to network and share their innovations at the convergence of health, fitness and tech. We had our film crew set up in the back of a cocktail bar, so excuse the background noise, and we sat down with a few of the guests, including the founder of FitTech Company herself, Natalia Karbasova. In this week's episode, guests share their insights on how the metaverse and connected fitness will be impacting the fitness industry over the next 5 years, the perspective from a tech-focused venture capital team about what they believe are essential to ensure new FitTech startups succeed, and how entrepreneurs are utilizing blockchain to incentivize people to work out. So please enjoy this week's episode of the Escape Your Limits podcast, and if you learn anything, please give us a share and a short comment so more people can get to hear. Thank you for listening.
IHRSA 2022, here we are at the Broken Shaker in this amazing event space. We've got a special event tonight, haven't we, Matthew? We're at the FitTech Club member event. We have our CEO here, all the way from Munich, Germany, Natalia Karbasova. Tell us about, this is the first IHRSA in Miami, in the US. Tell us about, what are you doing here? How's it been feeling?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this event because this is the very first FitTech member event here in the United States. And we have so many members from the United States already, but we couldn't, provide them with events so far. So we are running this party, and why we're doing this, because we think that the future of fitness can only be created by partnering with others, right? So we've collected a very nice curated group of people here, from founders to C-suite members to investors, who are all interested in one thing: to leverage the technology to make humankind healthier as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I love that. And we've got to have a why today, don't we? Now, we came from a very great event over in Cologne, actually, didn't we? At
exactly.
FIBO over
that was
there.
FIBO, yeah.
Wonderful member event there. Is that what we're hoping to create here in the United States?
Oh, we're hoping to create way more than that, because the market is huge. The acceptance for technology is very high, and we see lots of interest for people in people's minds to work together and to find the right influences in this business side, on this business side of things. So we're hoping for lots of fun. We're going to be playing a game. We're going to making sure that everyone is on board with what's happening, who knows whom, and this is kind of the who is who event of the industry, right? So it's going to be more than FIBO.
Right. So the company is called FitTech. How many businesses does that entail? Like, who's in the membership, actually? I assume it's broader than just fitness.
Absolutely. So we define FitTech as very broad. So we say there's fitness, there's health, there's the well-being aspect, plus technology. And basically, I think that the industry needs to redefine itself really quickly. Because I don't think there's going to be a fitness industry, like an analog fitness industry, in the next 3 to 5 years. It's all going to be either FitTech or you're going to be like super small, not significant, right? So FitTech is everything or any kind of technology that makes you as an individual healthier or helps you perform better on the fitness, health, and mental side, right? That's pretty much it. In the club, we have collected all different sorts of companies. They're like super different. We have like VR fitness. We have companies on the connected fitness side. We have health companies. We have like really very legacy German companies in the health side who are big worldwide, but no one knows about them, hidden champions, who are really moving into the tech space very fast. And we bring them all together to create a common narrative for this industry.
Yeah, that's great. And Matthew, we walked the floor today and we saw some new things. What caught your eye in the fit technology intersection? What were some of the things that stood out for you?
I don't know whether it's just because you picked out certain people, but I was actually quite shocked with the change from previous years to this year.
Yes.
and everything from strength machines and virtual personal trainers, and there definitely seemed to be kind of a very heavy influence of whether it's called connected or tech integrated fitness equipment, and a lot of the brands were totally new that I haven't even heard before, and a lot of the brands that had normally dominated the kind of limelight weren't actually there. So I think there's a big shift, and I guess in terms of what you're doing, Natalia, what would, if I was a manufacturer or if I was an operator or someone in the health, fitness and wellness space, what would I be expecting if I was to join this special club that does wonderful parties in beautiful places like this? What could I expect to get as it relates to me as a business owner, for example?
Well, Matthew, that's quite simple. Fresh ideas, access to innovation, and bright minds who are not assholes.
Bright minds are not assholes. So are you saying that that's typically what you kind of find in these types of things then?
Oh, we just have 2 policies in the club, and this is no asshole and no bullshit policy. And this is something which we are very strict on. We want people to have fun, we want you to have the best experience of your life, and to get out of this party being friends.
Great, that's wonderful. And I think the future is partnerships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know we've not got a huge amount of time, but you talk about partnerships, and how do you, and this was related to what we were talking before, but it seems like there's a lot of collaboration, a lot of technology is this kind of open source, and the more people that get involved, the kind of more the network grows. But what's your stance on kind of, there's obviously closed systems and open systems. How should people think about it? Should and you're an expert in this, I guess, and you look at what many different industries are doing, but is it something that you should think about, creating your own closed system where probably collaboration may affect your competitive position, or should we be looking at technology where it's like, okay, look, let's get involved in open systems and you're going to kind of rise with the rest of the tide? How would you sort of answer that?
Well, I think I'm very prejudiced. Of course, I am a big fan of open ecosystems. And I also think that in the future, or today, starting today, it's not just about make or buy, it's about make, buy, or partner. And partner is going to be the biggest part because the technology is getting more and more complicated, right? Mm-hmm. There are more and more specialized companies, and you just cannot do it all by yourselves. Well, and even if you're having this closed ecosystem approach, you can still learn lots of things for your own ecosystems by just, getting to talk to people who are into this in this ecosystem and who are building things themselves.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think we need to get into the party. What's the thing that you're most excited about tonight?
I'm most excited about the game.
Oh, the game. It's all about the game.
Always. Life is a game, life is a stage, and we'll make sure that it's fun for you.
Okay,
great, thank you. Let's go.
Thanks,
Let's go.
Natalia.
Let's go. We got Sage House in the house. Gentlemen, introduce yourself. What is Sage House?
Yeah, I'm Jim Kroll, and Sage House is basically a consulting and an investing firm that likes to mix the two together when possible. So we do make investments solo, we do consult solo, but when we can find the two that fit together well, that's what we like. So it's Jason Crow, myself, and then Jenna Randolph, who's not here right now. And so we have this really cool, deeply fitness-based background set with the three of us, and we also have an agency-style set of consultants that can go in and actually do work for companies. So we like going in fairly early, but not back of the napkin, because we like to actually be able to help them go to market or grow significantly. And so we want to go in and actually be with these companies for a while. So it's not a volume game for us, it's a how do we actually help you get to that real outcome.
Right, so who?
And I think that, so Jason Crow, so I think what's interesting about what we're doing, and I think why we came together, was this idea that because we're all from the fitness industry, we've all worked with consultants and investment firms that maybe have come from other places and tried to apply different models into fitness. And I think one of the things we know, and you were saying this just before we got on, is that fitness is a little bit different. So by having Jim, who's former CEO of OPEX, myself, who I led business development and partnerships at Precision Nutrition, and then Jenna Randolph, who used to lead marketing at Explore, so True Coach, Mariana Tech, PT Minder, we have kind of this base of knowledge on the fitness industry and different kind of functional expertise, and then we deploy consultants similarly that come from the fitness industry that can help some of these businesses solve very fitness industry problems. So that's why we're super excited to be here today. So thanks for talking about it.
How sharply tuned are you on the fitness market? I mean, it's morphing right now. We've talked about health coming in, technology coming in. How broad do you think that'll get for you and your customer base and your clients, I guess?
So I want to make sure I'm understanding the question right. So in terms of how tuned in we are, we probably look at, 500 to 1,000 deals a year, all in the fitness and wellness arena. So it's a lot of deal flow coming across our desk. We hope we do a good job of evaluating it, but there's a lot of really good ideas, and you and I were chatting about this a minute ago, that we have to also ask the question, how are they going to interact with the end consumer? And what we've found is that a lot of people coming in, especially in tech, don't understand the end fitness consumer. And one of the things we talk often about is that fitness is highly emotional and it's very behaviorally driven, moment to moment, to create the life cycle. So if you don't understand what nudges, right, a person forward, and if you can't create a feedback loop that they understand what's moving them, they're never going to create a lifetime value that's interesting for a VC-styled company. So we're not creating Uber in this industry in terms of valuations. That's such an important component. You're not getting $100 billion valuation because too many subsets of people require different types of products. So we're trying to search for those products and those founders that understand it's broad enough, but the certain type of person that their product deeply solves a problem for, and they have a model that can get that person to keep coming back, not because it's a monetary issue, but because they're actually helping them succeed. That's really the crux, right? Utopia, that's what we want.
So you're a really powerful trifecta. How do you, because there's a bunch of people doing aspects of what you do out there, what's the special sauce of the three of you?
So I think the special sauce again is differing functional expertises, right? So obviously I come with the sales, business development, partnership angle. Jim, as a former CEO, knows financial modeling. He knows building org design for scale. He knows about competitive strategy at a deep level, and he knows because he formerly worked for a hedge fund, knows about raising money and exiting companies. Jenna Randolph, as someone who is a former CMO, knows deeply about marketing, but because she's worked both on the client side and agency side, she's seen both sides of that. So that's really, as you say, the trifecta that starts, but then it's all the network that we have underneath us through the years that we've been in the industry where we can deploy the right person to solve the right problem for a business at that particular time. So I think that's what
I think something really important too is that we've all experienced at the operator level the end consumer. Whether the end consumer is a coach, a gym, or a human being who wants to get off the couch. So I used to own gyms, and so I understand what it's like for a person to walk into a gym and just worry all day long. And Jason was on the nutrition behavior side. Jenna saw it all. And so we have this knowledge of what moves the needle for a consumer of these products. And end of the day, this is still human behavior. And so if we can help the companies, particularly on the technology side, quantify that sort of behavior, we can then help them with the suggestions or the user experiences that help them move forward for much more than 3 months or a 6-week challenge. That's what I think a lot of products initially are missing. I think we were chatting, V1s of lots of very cool pieces of technology are coming. Their user experiences for most of them are very poor. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to become unbelievable, but right now they're not, and they need to really study how to connect to the human.
Yeah, that's cool. And I see a couple of things. One is I sort of see the money, the market, and the narrative, right? And the other thing is integrated. Like we talk a lot about partnerships. We've all had consultants. You get someone who tells you this and someone who tells you that, but someone's got to stitch that whole story together. And I think like the integrated way is the way forward. The open API, what's singing with what. So I see that as well. We've all spent a lot of money on a lot of things that don't always line up, and you're still not left with a very good action plan that deals with all parts of the business, the sales, the market, and what's the storyline, right? So it's powerful. It's powerful.
We're seeing lots of very smart people actually have too many opportunities come across their desk. And so there's this squirrel chasing syndrome that's going on right now, which is very, very hard because every opportunity looks scalable. And so they're chasing all of these ideas, and the company's going B2B. It's hard because you might have a 15-month contract time to get into pilot, through pilot, but they're spending so much time on a few of those opportunities that they aren't actually getting to product market fit at the end consumer level. And so we're really working hard with the companies to stay focused on what solves the problem for the ultimate human being that you're trying to serve. And certain companies are every time, like for example, at IHRSA, I guess we won't name names, but there are certain companies that every time we come back and see them, drastic steps forward. That's what we really want to try to identify up front, because the fitness industry still really matters on the marketing and the sales side. You can have a garbage product that makes a ton of money. We're clearly hoping that we go with great products that market really effectively, but the companies that are stepping forward, they get the real opportunities. And so you have to have both sides of it, which is kind of, for us, we love trying to find them and then trying to work with them.
Introducing the next big thing in functional training, the Escape Barrow, a revolutionary training tool that combines a loaded farmer's carry with a sled push to develop hip, grip, and core strength. Developed in partnership with Pete Holman, inventor of the TRX Rip Trainer and Nautilus Glute Drive, the Escape Barrow can be rolled, pushed, dragged, and carried. The Escape Barrow packs a punch with an impressive load capacity of 440 pounds, and with a two-stage galvanized paint covering process, it's also ideal for outdoor use. So head over to escapefitness.com/barrow. That's escapefitness.com/barrow to find out more. Enjoy the rest of this episode.
You're at a FitTech member event. How are you using data, technology to inform how you do and what you do?
Oh man, go.
So I think this is one of the missed opportunities, right? So if you think about all of the companies today that have some kind of technological component, they are generating massive amounts of data. And whether that's at the club level, whether that's potentially right down to the equipment level, that all that data is sitting somewhere and not really being utilized to its full potential. And one of the things that Jim and I were talking today was with a data scientist who is potentially coming on board to help us go into some of these organizations and say, okay, let's talk about all the data that is being produced across your organization. Let's figure out how to categorize that and turn that into actionable insights that, like Jim has said, improves the user experience, which in a highly emotional setting will have that person come back again and again and again and not take that moment where it's like, oh, there's something about this that I don't like, I'm not gonna get off the couch today. So there's a lot of it there.
There are so many products that are pulling in so many pieces of data that aren't doing anything with it.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I mean, we can have a good conversation about what AI really means, right? Lots of companies are talking about AI, but they're not actually getting a full feedback loop of, oh, you did this, which meant that, so we're suggesting this. Did you take that suggestion, yes or no? If you did, what happened? And then, this is the wrong term, but decision treeing 5 million times off of that, right? Like, that's what most companies, and keep in mind, it's very hard to do, so I don't want to downplay how important it is, but if they're able to connect simple dots first, they can build a much better model and a much better prediction model of what's going to happen next. I think companies, they're either trying to go too big too fast and not managing the data well, or they're just getting deer in the headlights and not starting.
Do you think that that's a good point? Because like going back, okay, not years ago, but say 10 to 15 years, you come to IHRSA, someone develop a new bike, a new treadmill, an elliptical. Very straightforward, did one thing, and the opportunities to evolve are fairly straightforward. It's fairly linear. It's like, okay, improve it, maybe a bit of functionality, better console. Nowadays, when what we said earlier off camera is I'm so, almost like this deer in the headlights moment, because the options are kind of infinite. It's like, well, where can I take this? Oh, it can tap into this and it can tap into that and I can pull in this. And do you find that now one of the challenges for an inventor or a business startup or even investors is to try and get people to almost like stay relatively focused? Because my guess is that if you have got a great idea, as you move along, there could be so many different opportunities to evolve the product in so many different ways that you could end up losing yourself in this sort of, and spending a ton of money to do it, and you end up like nowhere, as opposed to like, okay, we're developing a treadmill and it's just going to get better and better and better, and we're going to drive down the price and we're going to be the market leader in that. Like, you can get that, but in technology, although I've seen some wonderful ideas, I just end up like frazzling my brain thinking where I could take it, and you need to sort of almost pause. So to come back to a question, do you find that sometimes in terms of guiding people and helping them through that process, you've got to really kind of stay extremely focused and simplify what you're trying to do?
So, can I take this one?
Go, please.
We are huge believers in tangible competitive advantages, and you cannot build a wide competitive advantage when you're a startup. So if you want competitive advantage, you have to either have captive customers or high switching costs or blah, 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 blah. If you don't dominate a very specific part of the market, we don't believe that you will be found. And so if you're not found and adopted, I don't think that you go wider. Now, I'm all for trying to dominate a market, and if it's not working, pivoting the product a little bit. What I don't think works very well is to go way too wide on an audience, because you start spinning your wheels. You don't know how to speak. So think of the difference if you have a connected fitness product going to yoga versus going to boxing. You simply cannot say the same words. And I think these products, I know that's a dramatic example, but there's a lot of service-based companies, B2B companies, and connected products that are trying to reach vastly too large of audiences, and they're not finding traction. Right. If you find traction, and keep in mind, we're in this game, if you find traction, either you get revenue or you get funding. And when you get big funding is when you hit the bigger audience. Yeah. So I don't think that it works nearly well enough to try to go wide early.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I suppose with technology, you because it can do that with a click of a switch, I suppose it's tempting to kind of imagine that, where I think like, but also I suppose it can be scary. Like I know quite a few people that have got that niche product, but then you have an Apple and suddenly overnight a feature pops up and they've just eliminated, like it happened recently with the, what happened just a few months ago, like Apple have incorporated something that's just, the payment systems now. Like you can now, suddenly these huge payment companies that you, like the Affirms and everyone, have gone because of this new thing. So how do you also deal with that kind of like, making sure that Apple's not going to suddenly, or Google or Amazon or whatever, is just going to like make you irrelevant overnight?
So Apple serves such a large audience that they have to water down features in a specific subset of people. Doesn't mean that they're bad features, they're unbelievable features, but if we dominate, the youth ice hockey market. Apple, if I have a product that can sit outside of Apple, I'm still going to have them as captive. That would allow me potentially to integrate with Apple, or it would allow the user to sit outside of the Apple ecosystem. If I'm too wide and Apple comes out with a product, I can't pull them away from it. Now, don't get me wrong, Apple is an extremely powerful player, so I'm not suggesting that they couldn't potentially break that, but
it's a good way of thinking about it, though. Yeah.
But I think a lot of these companies, they only have the resources early to speak very carefully to a specific audience, but that's what creates captivity. And so if I can create captivity and add some switching costs to it, and add a life cycle that keeps the LTV moving up, then we can come into the partnerships conversation over time, and we can lower the total client acquisition cost, because I can go to these other companies because I dominate youth ice hockey, right? I'm the player. You have to come to me for these things. Now, one of the different, B2B is very fascinating to us, because we do think B2B integration products can go wider, but the business model has to be very focused. So I might be able to, like if I have a text company, right, that does human behavior, I might be able to go to youth ice hockey. I might be able to go to collegiate soccer, but I have to build out the way that we integrate into those ecosystems so that the end customers that we're serving, i.e. the university or whoever, builds the front end, but my technology is powering the back end, right? So it's either the business model or it's the customer base, in our opinion.
One of the things I find, I built my business with no funding because I couldn't get any. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to sell, put the money back in, and I've done that for 25 years. You know, would I do it again? Maybe not, but it seems today, particularly for younger people that come into business, and I'm probably not a younger person, although I like to think of myself, but you know, the first thing you do is you have an idea and you go and raise a ton of money. You don't really understand the basic fundamentals about what to do. And it seems nowadays, well, certainly prior to maybe what's happening recently, but it seems as though it's been fairly easy to raise money. There's been a lot of money around, and as you said, throwing out a lot of ideas because it could be the next whatever. How do you get that discipline on both sides? You know, how do you get that discipline for probably the young entrepreneur that doesn't want to get into a false sense of security that they've got the money and they can just blow it, and the investor to have that discipline in terms of, okay, you know, like what you guys are doing, you know, putting it in the right type of business that you know have got a chance to sort of build in those fundamentals which all businesses need to have.
And that we can influence, right? And that's the big and unique part about the model, is that it's not a private equity play where we're coming and saying, okay, here's a bunch of money, now we're going to sit here and demand that you perform. We actually want to sit, and we have a vested interest, not only financially, but also to work with these folks to make sure what they're doing succeeds. And that's how we can partner with them, deploy the right resources in to help them do what we believe they can do, which will work for everybody.
Right. So I think too, we actually, if we spoke to 20 companies over the last 2 days, I'll bet we told 70% of them not to raise money right now. And so it's either because they're not clear enough on who they're trying to work with, the product isn't far enough, and it's not a product that demands a significant investment. But we want to come in when the company needs capital for the right reasons. So again, we don't like the back of the napkin because we have no data points to understand it. Now, some of our friends would say that I'm a bit OCD when it comes to due diligence, and so I get it, right? But we are looking for the companies that need money because it will help them grow. So,
for a specific reason, such as, you know, buying inventory, and you've got a big customer and you can't fund it without it, as opposed to, you know, we need some money just to scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And to your point, it has been significantly easier to raise money for the last couple of years until 2 months ago. And 2 months ago, a lot of things changed. So there's lots of bridge rounds happening right now where people are trying to get 18 months because Y Combinator came out and said you got to get 18 months of runway. And
What is that? What's that?
Y Combinator?
Yeah.
Think of them as a big, smart accelerator-ish type of a program. And so they're trying to help companies come out of the gates, and then they take equity stakes and they connect them to their networks, and it's a powerful player at this point. So they have been saying, let's get 18 to 24 months of runway. Totally get it. So a lot of companies are trying to raise, and we've used this term a bunch this week, a lot of companies got over their skis, they raised too much money, and the product hasn't hit milestones. So we're looking for companies that we can understand the milestones. So, hey, tell us what the next 6 months looks like for real, you know? And if we can't wrap their heads around it, which I would say I am not a tech brain, I'm not the fastest thinker. So I often say, hey, can you explain this to me as a kindergartner? Because that's the end consumer. And if the end consumer can't understand it, how are we supposed to understand how you get to the market?
And let's just say, it's a good time to be diligent, so keep being you, I think.
I hope, right?
And last question, because we actually have one more guest. So speaking of runway, things kind of going okay for the three of you and whoever else you bring on in the future. Where do you see yourselves in 3 years?
I think that we will have a very good component of pre-seed to Series A. That's what we do now, and we really want to build that business. But we really also want to build out the consulting and the agency business because almost every company that we speak to needs it. And so we want to be able to go into the companies for real when they need it. And, I mean, we'd like to think we're doing the right thing, right? Now, everybody would say that, so take it with a grain of salt. But we don't want to go into a company that has no cash. So we don't want to go in with fees if we could maybe make an investment and maybe we take advisor shares or something like that, but we go in and help where we can help. And we're okay with that because of the structure of our company. That's cool. But in 3 to 5 years, we would expect to also have another component of later stage companies because that starts to allow us to do the due diligence we want to take bigger chunks. And that's where we really want to work with other big capital partners because that's something that I think continues to shape the fitness field in a big way, right? Peloton, if you like them or not, I mean, we like them, but like them or not, they changed the entire landscape.
100%.
Because they shot the gap, right? They went all the way. And so we want to find some companies that we can help do that if that's the best for them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that was great. I think it was a phenomenal answer. I think the thing for us is to create systems, both on the investment and on the consulting side, both so our investment process becomes more fine-tuned and efficient, and we can start to debrief on the, we're going to have some successes and we're going to have some losses. So we get smarter on the investment side, and similarly on the consulting side, we get tighter in our ability to help companies quicker. So we sit with you and we want to meet people where they're at, but if we've seen that kind of situation before, how can we, at potentially a lower cost for more companies, deploy the resources they need, fix their problem, and get them to their next step? And we can do that more broadly. So that's really the focus for the next few years.
Sounds exciting. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
We'll have to catch up sometime when it's like a little bit quieter and we can go into it a bit deeper. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, guys.
All right, lovely.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks.
We have royalty in the house. Wonderful to have you over from Europe. Who are you? What company are you a part of? Tell us the journey.
Yeah. Erwin.
Erwin from Amsterdam.
Difficult to pronounce. So normally I say I'm Eric from Amsterdam. But no, I'm almost 30 years in the fitness industry.
Wow.
Same. And I know this guy for many years, and I know you for many years. I worked with multiple enterprise companies, worked for Les Mills, even had my own boutique club.
Yeah, I was thinking before we started this interview, I thought we've been to so many events and you've like had so many like evolutions, meet the top. I remember having a long conversation with you. So you've certainly kind of had a deep understanding of the industry from many sides, really, I guess.
Yeah, after I worked for the biggest health and fitness organizations, I had one wish, to become an owner of my own company. Wrong wish. So the whole boutique market is sometimes a dream, but if you look to the P&L of a boutique club, it's not a dream. So, and then I was approached by a company in the UK who was specialized in payments, Harlands.
Oh, okay.
Probably you from the UK, you know it. And that's 3 years ago. So I thought, what should I do in payments?
Yeah.
It's
Strange.
strange. And but they give a good offer, so I said, okay, let's go for it.
So what, just out of interest, because it's not kind of a really sexy part of the industry, like, and I guess there's lots of companies that kind of do that. So what particularly excited you? Was it like that there's going to be a new way of taking payments or making payments? What specifically hooked you on that as an idea?
Yeah, I was really known in the fitness industry as the sales king, always focusing on sales targets, budgets, So if a club reaches the target of 100 sales, then I find out not 100 people paying the membership. So we find out that maybe 8 or 10 or even some clubs, 16% has a failure on payments, so a rejection. And when I find out that there are companies where you can outsource the payments, you don't have to worry about it, then I thought, okay, this makes a difference on the P&L. So reaching your sales target is not making a difference on the P&L if you don't get the money. So that was my first interest, that with my sales knowledge, I could extend in the payment industry.
Okay. So, what are you doing then?
It was a crazy journey. So it's 3 years ago, and then TSG, Transaction Service Group, bought the company. And then a half year later, Advent International Private Equity step in. And we grow from like 7 software and payment companies to 30 software and payment companies. 30. Mainly software, because we find it difficult with our payment systems to knock on the door of software companies. Can we please integrate? And it was very hard. They closed the doors. So then we thought, then we buy them. So, yeah. So
We'll buy.
they buy them with the help of Advent. And so now we're in a lucky position that we have like 30 software companies worldwide, like 80,000 clients. And now the next challenge is to embed our own payment company in those software companies, so that we don't use Stripe or other payment companies in the future, or that we can help the operators that the software and payments is under one roof with better conditions and better prices.
But in our industry, not all segments are the same, right? So hence the 30. So tell us a bit about that. How do you serve each big box, boutique?
Yeah, so now in the 30 companies, we really have beautiful brands. And I pray for the people because they're really beautiful brands like ZingFit, Mariana Tech, True Coach, PT Minder, Legend, Brightline, WrestleMania, etc., etc. So they all have a big legacy. The goal now is to put it in 3 verticals. So we have an Explore Gym, health and fitness, Explore Studio, boutique, and Explore Recreation. So for big park, municipality gyms. So we believe in specific vertical softwares, because one software system can't do a gym, a boutique, a CrossFit studio in the same time. So it's very specific.
Why is that?
Health and fitness is dominant on memberships, and boutique is more booking, payment as you go. CrossFit want to see results in the software, gamification, tracking of heart rates, different value, different tribes. And because we go now to a market more B2B2C, the software is not only B2B. It's all about the consumer experience, where you talk a lot about it. So the consumer want to experience, easily use an app and book it and pay it and invite a friend and everything. So that's the future.
Do you see yourself going beyond the 3, or is that more than enough?
I believe, and we can't do it at the moment, but I believe in the future, the consumer should decide when he pays. So now we take money of a bank account, why not sending a link, and he can decide when he pays. And if he not pays, no access anymore. That's a big mind shift, because the fitness industry got rich of people who paid and never ever come to the industry. And if you want to build a community, you only can build a community of people who visit the gym. But that's a big mind shift, definitely on the P&L.
Yeah. One of the things that we've been talking about and hearing about is how, like, the blockchain and crypto is going to, over the next few years, change particularly financial services. how or have you guys thought in terms, because you're dealing with payment and this probably will some way involve your business, is there something that you're thinking about? And if so, how far down the road have you got on that?
On the personal level, I saw that the Bitcoin above 50 went under the 20. Okay, it's...
But I'm not talking about like the technology itself that a lot of this is built on seems to be, you know, extremely powerful as a foundation for doing a lot of stuff like that. Like
Now, I look more in, especially if we look to two systems we have for gym and for boutique, they're all based on open API structures. And the open API structure that can help you in the future if there is a new innovation or a new trend to give just the API documentation and you connect really easily.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, so we really have some great connections. If it's e-gym, if it's techno gym, virtual gym, other connections, drinking machines, payments, it doesn't matter. You want to be flexible as an organization, and you see on enterprise level, the front end, they want to control themselves. Their own website, their own app, but in the back end, everyone wants to have a great reporting, BI tools, marketing automation, that should be well organized.
Right. So if people want Bitcoin, if they want to operate in that way in the future, potentially you could see
Yeah,
that
then we can
if that's
open
what
the
the
API.
demand is.
Yeah, definitely.
And like final question before we get literally kicked out, but it's probably the first time you've been to IHRSA for a few years with a lot of restrictions. You've been here for a couple of days. What are some of the standout things that you've seen, whether it's in technology or IHRSA or in the American market? Are there any things that sort of are at the top of your mind that you probably didn't have before you came here?
Yeah, I think this is my 12th IHRSA in the last 30 years. And I never experienced that on the whole IHRSA, we with around 15 software companies. So it's full competition, the game is on. I love the competition. And we have one goal now, is to dominate America, like we dominate Europe. So America, here we go.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Well, good luck.
Love it.
Thank you, Matthew.
So we came all the way over from the West Coast to meet you here in Miami. So who are you? Tell us a bit about your concept. Very exciting.
Yeah, so my name is Eddie Lester. I'm from MetaGym LLC, and we are an exercise-earn mobile application that rewards users for performing health behaviors in cryptocurrency.
Whoa, you're going to have to unpack that for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so slow down.
I've been unpacking it all day at the convention notes. Yeah. But yeah, our main goal is to introduce, we'll say, new motivational factors for adherence to health, well-being, exercise.
Such as, give us some examples.
Yeah, for sure. So our primary concept focuses around cardiorespiratory exercise, as well as strength. And what I should say is we focus on the 5 pillars of health. I should say 4 pillars of health. We have your exercise, which is cardiorespiratory strength. In that sense, we have recovery, such as sleep, and then we have nutrition, and then mental well-being. And we reward users for performing behaviors based on their performance of those in those aspects.
Right. Well, that's beautiful. And who's your customer? Like, how do you express this?
Yeah, so our customers really, we have 2 kind of primary bases, and that's really people that are already doing the activities themselves. Those that are very active in health and fitness, and they pay attention, they have their fitness trackers, and they're already in the, we'll say, technology side of tracking biometric data. And then we also have the other side of people that are looking to be motivated to start to perform these behaviors, but are currently not doing them in that sense, or they could use a little push over the ledge for adopting a healthy lifestyle.
And how does that integrate with crypto?
Yeah, so there's it's a unique concept, because what we're doing is asking Facebook, we'll say, to provide their users with hey, so you have a brand, a fitness brand, and you sell fitness equipment. You put maybe $100,000 into a Facebook advertisement. What does that do for the user? What does the user get from that?
They don't actually get anything apart from maybe
being shown something that could be of interest, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, the cookie of interest. Okay, so what we're really trying to do is we're trying to marry the concept of Web3, which is the users own their own individual data. Facebook does not, Google does not. And we're able to then reward the user for owning their own data, just like you would, or just like Facebook would take advantage and own all of our data and provide that sort of earning potential from knowing all about you. What we are trying to do is grab fitness enthusiasts and people that are looking to adopt a healthy lifestyle and reward them for being a part of our community. And what we're trying to do is bring brands on board that want to connect with users, but in a more meaningful way. You know, like let's use that exact $100,000 example in the sense of a fitness brand comes through MetaGym and wants to assist people or we'll say get new customers. That brand is supporting the economy of what we do. And what does that mean? It means that the users are getting rewarded via exercise to earn for performing health behaviors from the brands themselves.
So in terms of crypto, like I've been looking at it, invested a little bit in it a few years ago, and one of the things that I've found is its extreme volatility, like particularly as we speak today. So how do you peg value when it can just change massively? Like what do you do to kind of then equate what I'm getting, the rewards, into something tangible in the real world then?
Yeah, so we really utilize a liquidity pool for our in-game token that ensures consistent earnings for the value of our in-game token. We also have our governance token. So when we think of cryptocurrency and tokenomics, the governance token is what's going to fluctuate massively. Just like you said, a volatile token, cryptocurrency, when people buy in, the coin typically goes up. When people sell, the coin typically goes down. In this current market, if you've been following crypto or just any market in general, we are a bit in a bear market, and a lot of the coins have lost a lot of value. But what's unique about what we do we have a 2-coin system. We have our HRT, which is heart rate token, and then we have our MetaGym coin, which is our governance token. And our governance token is the one that's going to fluctuate. So if people believe in our concept, they're going to invest into the MetaGym coin. As the markets go up and down, just like they always do, there's going to be volatility in that. But what we're able to do with our liquidity pool for our in-game token is monitor the number of tokens versus the total value, the number of tokens versus the total value of each token with our liquidity pool. So our liquidity pool will always be able to be adjusted based on what we're looking to assist people with earning. And our primary focus is we like a lot of play to earn games in crypto. This is a very new concept, and a lot of them, they had this massive spike during the bull market, and some people were earning $1,000 a day playing a video game online, and we know that that's not sustainable. What we're really trying to do is we're trying to create a realistic earnings potential.
And how do you, to dumb that down for people like myself then, you talk about this liquidity pool. So how are you actually how are you stabilize? You got 2 coins. How do you stabilize that? Like where's the sort of like, if what happened like recently where there's like a huge crash, like, enormous.
Yeah.
How does somebody stop losing everything or the value of it, for example, if you built it up? What do you do? Are you supporting it yourself to a level based on the amount of tokens that there is or something?
Yeah, so basically what we do to stabilize our in-game token, our in-game token is able to be controlled. While it is a cryptocurrency and is backed by a liquidity pool, which is real dollars or real value in it, the MetaGym coin is what's going to potentially fluctuate, like I mentioned. But the way that we're able to balance the in-game token is through total number of users and expected earnings per day. And based on that, we're able to add, we'll say, money to the liquidity pool from our end, from brand partners, from the sale of our NFTs to enter our application, and from advertisements to then allow for a consistent earnings potential.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And on NFTs then, not to sound kind of like a bit of a skeptic, but do you sell NFTs? Like what's the is that because I guess it's what's the value in something like that? In a commercial world, are people really gonna in the fitness space? Are they gonna really spend money on an NFT, or are you wrapping it with
an NFT which you'll get like access to this, access to that, etc.?
So, as it sounds like more of a how do we utilize NFTs in the fitness space question.
Right, yeah.
So the utility of NFTs is what creates the value. And what our job is like I said, we are trying to assist the world in becoming healthier through different motivational factors. And our utility is first off exercise to earn, but then we also have a social aspect of, our NFTs are metaverse avatars, meaning that you actually have an avatar that is a MetaGym character in a metaverse and or multiple metaverses. And what this allows you to do is to build and grow this character through, exercise. So when you exercise, you can earn our in-game token. That in-game token you're able to purchase, upgrades, or just like we would in the real world. I want to grow my biceps, and you do bicep curls. You're gonna grow those biceps over time. And what we're really looking to do is assist in the growth of your physical figure with your NFT. So you become a digital that NFT becomes a digital representation of who you are in a digital Web3 metaverse way.
Okay, interesting.
And I get this question all the time. Why would somebody purchase something that's digital, like on the blockchain or just on the internet? Why would you even think about purchasing something in that way? And it's really what value does it bring you? Right. And there's a lot of, we place value on so many things in this world, and the simplest representation of this I could get is what do you get when you buy a gym membership?
Well, outside of the obvious, then, in some cases, you get a bit of a status for certain brands.
You get, the access to the facility. You get a bit of a social,
element.
Like if no gym sells, hey, come to this social club. I mean, some do, like if you think about country clubs and different things like that. But when we think of the country club model, when we think of owning a stake in your membership, NFT is a perfect example of, hey, I'm going to join Anytime Fitness, and they're going to provide me an NFT, and this NFT holds value. And there's only Anytime Fitness only allows 600 members. It's a 3,000 square foot facility, and you're able to buy this NFT, this membership, for say $500 for the first year, and then you have $100 or $300, whatever it is, afterwards. Your value in that NFT is the fact that you can sell that as a tangible asset when you're done with that gym. Let's say you move out of the state. So what we're starting to see with NFTs is the ability to bring consumers closer to, feeling a part of a community. Because yes, I belong to an Equinox in Equinox South Bay in Hawthorne, California, and I have a social status there. And when I leave that, all of that money that I paid and invested into this social status, I get nothing on when I leave. And that's just the way the market currently is. But when we think of where we're headed, the user is, and the customer is the focus from here on out. It's not how do we find a big company that's going to allow us to access the customer. It's how do we reward the customer for being involved in our community and for being a part of what we do. And the NFT an NFT is the exact way that brings more pride and brings more brand loyalty and trust into the system.
Right, interesting. How do you, with the rewards, how are you tracking? You said you got the 4 or 5 pillars. How are you tracking the, like my cardio, my strength? How does that work?
So our primary focus is through heart rate data. Okay. So we are starting solely with heart rate data. It's the easiest to track. You have your Oura ring on right now. I have my Whoop on right now. She had it on earlier.
I had other stuff.
What we're able to do with this fitness technology is we're able to track heart rate to its simplest form.
And you're agnostic, right?
Correct. We are 100% agnostic, meaning that you can utilize any technology that monitors heart rate. to track your earnings, or to we'll say to earn, because and what we're trying to focus on is, hey, how often is your heart rate getting into ranges that can increase your cardiorespiratory health? And if you do this today, we're going to reward you for doing that. And so when we really think about how it happens, is the simplest way, and there's a few competitors out there that focus on GPS and steps. And what we're really focused on is I'm a fitness professional, true and true, all the way through, 20 years of being a personal trainer and being involved in the fitness industry. I want to really help people in a way that's trackable, that is able to be measured. And other fitness professionals out there are saying yes, like absolutely. But what we're really looking to do is encourage exercise in a way that says absolutely science-based. You are improving your health by doing this activity. And that's something that isn't currently too available in the market as far as rewards for that.
Right. So you're stepping into, we've talked a lot at the show about crossing the fitness threshold and into medical. How are you managing that? Because it's very litigious, it's complex, it's hard, there's levels, there's evidence-based. How are you managing that?
Well, so yes, there comes a thought of the next step of what we're doing, and how do we, when we think of medical insurance, and the reward potential there, because the investment into any medical insurance specific customer base is a massive investment, because it's so important for them to actually perform health behaviors. And then when we think of the medical side of things, what is a doctor going to encourage? How is this going to transition into a potential benefit in a medical sense to just the general population? In my opinion, it comes down to the motivation. And right now, we know that it's tough to get people to exercise. But when we think of, hey, you go out today and you perform a cardiorespiratory exercise, and when you're done with that, we're going to drop $7 into your wallet, into your hand. You walk out of that gym that day, and here's $7 right here for you. What's the motivation there to actually, we'll say, perform that activity? If you...
My guess is, I've not seen it done before, but my guess is there's going to be some motivation to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, what we'll see is that $7 becomes a factor of mental compounding. That's maybe not the right term, but what we're seeing is that, hey, you probably analyze a small amount of earnings. It's like, okay, so I go to this gym. I go to the gym that I go to, and my membership is $40 a month. We'll say just your entry-level gym, a younger crowd in that sense. And that gym provides me an NFT to access MetaGym. And if I go to the gym, perform health behaviors specific around exercise, then I go home and sleep, I'm able to pay for that gym membership in its entirety if I show up 8 times a month. Or maybe, depending on the earnings, 12 times a month. But the it's very funny, but we as humans are motivated all in different ways. But a common factor is we are motivated by things that are able to we'll say, make sense of why we do something. And a lot of times that's monetary value is a great
Yeah, well, it's
great
carrot and stick, isn't it? It's like sometimes it's when you have a health scare, unfortunately, that's when I start getting motivated. Or I feel so good, I want to do it, or I'm subsidising. So I think, and we talk about this a lot, if people were fit and healthy and generally ate good food and slept well and drank water and got away from the sodas and all of these things and didn't rely so much on Big Pharma, the preventative health would actually, that's what you're doing. You're subsidising the overall ecosphere of health by not leaning on the system because you're sick, because you're actually in much better nick and therefore attract much less disease.
Exactly.
You go to any hospital, not just COVID, any hospital, any time, it's going to be people that are unhealthy that are filling the beds. Generally, it's a blunt comment.
And honestly,
yeah.
You just answered your own question earlier about how does this play into the medical side? How do we move into that field? And that's when I love to talk big picture, we in the fitness industry have a very, very big heart for truly helping people.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is something that's been a mission of mine and a purpose of mine for 20 plus years and maybe even longer. But you know, I started out helping 20 people a month try to achieve their fitness goals in a Equinox gym, and that was amazing to me because I truly impacted the health of 20 people.
Yeah.
And then I started my company Fitness Mentors, which helps personal trainers help do what I did.
Yeah,
and I was
so you
like,
scaled
because
this up.
I can exponentially impact people's lives if I teach what I love to do to other people. And now I feel like this is the next.
Well, technology is the accelerator.
Yeah, exactly. This is the next progression of my purposes to bring this to the consumer and introduce something that can truly move the needle for the world's health.
Yeah. So on that, as clear as this is in your head right now, you are at the bleeding edge, and we're from the traditional club market.
Absolutely.
It's not quite there yet. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot. So where are you in the company? Like where are you in terms of funding and in the journey?
So we are in our we'll say second round of funding. We're in our seed round.
Okay.
And we made a ton of connections here at IHRSA. Right. We have a really good feeling that we people understand this, but it's difficult to wrap your head around it for a larger brand.
Right.
It's difficult for them to be like, hey, like I get it, but it's not here yet.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is let's bring it to this next level. And let's introduce Web3 in which we are truly supporting the users, truly supporting the individual, as opposed to these large companies, to get in contact and to support them. When you think about something like a HyperIce, who I met with today, and they are providing recovery tools for people to improve their health and recovery.
Yeah.
Their problem, what's their ad budget on social media? What's their ad budget on Google? I don't know, but it's probably significantly up there. And to use my reference from earlier, that provides them access to users. And the users get pretty much nothing except for I get to use Facebook and be social with my friends. But that doesn't benefit the company because the company's involvement, or the company's, we'll say, investment into Facebook is Facebook's revenue.
Yeah, and they're creating awareness for the greater industry, but it's not necessarily dropping straight back in.
And that's what it is. Because truly, when we think of my children growing up, I have 4 children.
Crikey, are you old enough to have 4 children?
I have a 4-month-old all the way to 6-year-old. And what? Yeah, no, I'm in the mix right now.
How are you looking so fresh?
Thank you, I appreciate that because I'm feeling a little worn down now. But when I think of what their experience is going to be with social medias, with the digital era that they're going to enter into. So much of it they are going to control.
Well, that they're born into.
Yeah, when they're born into.
They're not even going to know our world.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest, my son, and this is a unique example, this actually helped me come up with this concept, is my son's like, hey, Dad, can you please download Roblox for me?
Yeah.
And Roblox is a metaverse type game in which you perform challenges or activities or quests in Roblox to achieve diamonds and coins. And his interest in this was very deep, and it was
intoxicating.
Exactly, because he wants to go into this game and he wants to build his character. He wants to, if you know Roblox, get as many pets as possible that follow him around. And this is his social status. And this is a 6-year-old we're talking about. We're talking like, and it's just intuitive.
Yeah, that's right. They're born into it.
Yeah, they're born into it. And so really, what we're trying to do is we know that that's coming. Yeah. But how do we get the fitness industry there? And I really feel that what we're doing is providing that step and that entrance for brands to be like, okay, we're moving in a direction that's going to support the next generation.
Yeah. So are you at proof of concept? Sorry, are you at proof of concept, or are you piloting? Like, where are you in terms of working with partners to actually deliver this?
Yes, so we are actually in talks with a few partners. So when you think about what we're doing is what are the pillars of health, and what companies support users in those health pillars. We are having amazing conversations with nutrition companies, supplement companies, food delivery services, clothing that supports a healthy lifestyle. I mean, when you think of exercise equipment that supports a healthy lifestyle, cardio equipment, anything that supports the user journey
I suppose apparel, like there's so many things, I guess, that are part of clothing brands.
Here in a way.
No,
can relate to that.
A fitness convention is, I knew when after coming up with this concept 8 or so months ago and really trying to power through this, I was like, everyone, and this, well, I'll get to that, but everyone can work with us. And because everyone, if a brand comes out and they have amazing communication that says, we support your journey. They all say that. But how do they say that right now? By, hey, here's our products.
Yeah.
Well, or you're removing, like what you're effectively doing is removing the traditional means of advertising, and you're saying, like, instead of using that to kind of spread out your message, like we can put you straight in touch with that person and put those dollars into this, and you'll kind of, secure both ways, from the user knowing exactly who's getting their information, and then the brand that's talking directly to the user on a mass scale.
Exactly.
Okay.
And really, when we think about that particular relationship, that's where we talk about the brand trust, the brand loyalty, and let's say someone comes in and we create a partnership, and we'll say IHRSA decides to come in and bring, we'll say, digital assets, NFTs, to our avatars. And they can include these in this process. What the user gets is, A, I love IHRSA products.
Yeah.
And B, now that I see IHRSA supporting my journey, I'm going to support, we'll say, them even more.
How do you choose, when it comes back to the sort of user privacy, I suppose, how do you prevent a lot of brands that may be in your interest to talk because you're making the wheels move on this whole thing, but the individual is like, no, I don't want those brands. How do you kind of manage that, or is that still to be?
It really comes down to the brands that have the message that we align with. And it's very clear. I mean, you know, what's your favorite brand right now? What's your favorite fitness brand that you feel has the true ethos of who you are?
Well, he's going to say Escape.
Yeah, Escape Fitness.
His business.
No, I guess it depends on different things. Like if we use sleep, then at the moment I'm kind of, Aura's a passion, I guess. But then there's other things I don't want to be filling into my communication. So I suppose it's just, if you're taking things to a level beyond a Facebook and Instagram situation where you're getting bombarded with stuff that you don't want to see, are you able to kind of protect the user in a better way from being able to kind of choose, be in control of it? Because I guess with with what you're doing from what I understand a little bit about, kind of crypto and the blockchain, is that you now own, the individual becomes a key holder as opposed to the middleman, which is where things are. So how do I kind of stay in control without stopping the model from working?
So here's the way that we kind of address that. And I think to answer kind of your first question, your first point of that is how does the user, we'll say, choose to participate versus not choose to participate in a specific element of a brand partnership. The specific brands have the opportunity to come in and create a digital asset. And the support of that digital asset can be from their community. It can be from our community. And the people that align with a specific brand are going to choose to, we'll say, invest in that specific brand's assets. And for you, let's say we bring on a partner that's like, I don't really know, that's not for me. It goes to the wayside. And while you may see a potential partnership announcement from us, it's not something that you need to participate in. Right. But every partnership has the opportunity to, we'll say, further motivate with their NFT project or their specific brand partnership, their strategic partnership. Because what do we need to do to help the world with health is get people moving, get people sleeping, get people eating healthier, and then focus on some mental health. What element is X brand going to choose to incorporate that into Web3? And when a brand comes in, we have tons of opportunities for them to decide. It doesn't have to be a digital asset. It doesn't have to be, or it could be something like a challenge. Like, hey, for 1 week, you use your Oura Ring, you use your Whoop, and if you get a sleep score above 75 or 80 every single day of this week, you're going to be rewarded with a brand product or a bonus on your metaverse avatar that allows you to earn more. The options are limitless when we
But something you care about.
Exactly, and that's what we're really doing here, is really looking to encourage what people want and what they care about, and have them invest their time, their effort, and then also their, we'll say, money into it, but have the result be an amazing experience that then creates further advancements in their own health.
Yeah, it's great. We've got a wrap now, but final question. This is your first IHRSA, and it's your first experience at the FitTech Club here in the US. What's your overarching feeling? Like, how's it been?
You know, I'm just excited to connect with people like yourselves. I mean, it's when I I talked about my purpose a little bit, and the way that we help more people is through making amazing connections. And the FitTech Club, I feel, is the perfect place to do that. And while this is my first event, and I was pulled right in here by you guys, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to get out there, meet more people, find out ways that they're helping people, and see how we can all work together to help more and more people. Because that exponential effect, I feel, is where we're going to have the biggest impact.
100%.
Thanks very much for sharing that.
you.
I've certainly learned a lot.
Thanks for having me on. I love it. Thank you, guys.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.